Good morning, good afternoon, everybody.
Hola con todos.
Hello, my name is Amy Melin, and I'm the Assistant Director of Birth to 3 Services at the Opportunity Council.
Hola con todos. Mi nombre es Sara Bailon Mello y soy the Language Access Coordinator por the Opportunity Council.
We have been asked to deliver our land acknowledgement today, so if you could all just take a moment. We're going to start by taking a moment of silence and saying, as we gather today on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, we honor their enduring stewardship of this land. We recognize that these forests and waterways are intertwined with Indigenous cultures, both historically and in the present day. We acknowledge the historical trauma inflicted by colonizers and commit to our collective responsibility to work towards the health of this land and all its inhabitants.
Al reunirnos hoy en el territorio no cedido del pueblo Salis de la costa, honramos su perdurable protección de esta tierra. Reconocemos que estos bosques y ríos están entrelazados entre las culturas indígenas, tanto a lo largo de la historia como en la actualidad. Reconocemos el trauma histórico infligido por los colonizadores y nos comprometemos con nuestra responsabilidad colectiva de trabajar por la salud de esta tierra y de todos sus habitantes.
We also recognize that much of this nation's development has been built upon the labor of Indigenous and enslaved Africans and their descendants. We acknowledge the lasting impact of slavery and systemic racism that continues to affect communities today.
También reconocemos que gran parte del desarrollo de esta nación se ha basado en el trabajo de los indígenas y de africanos esclavizados, así como de sus descendientes. Reconocemos el impacto duradero de la esclavitud y el racismo sistémico que sigue afectando a las comunidades en la actualidad.
Our work supporting young children and families on these lands is a privilege. We pledge to challenge ourselves continually to shape a more equitable and inclusive future. We invite you to join us in uplifting the diverse knowledge, histories, and traditions that enrich our shared community.
Nuestra labor de apoyo a los niños y a las familias de estas tierras es un privilegio. Nos comprometemos a plantearnos constantemente retos para forjar un futuro más equitativo e inclusivo. Los invitamos a unirse a nosotros para fomentar la diversidad de conocimientos, historias y tradiciones que enriquecen la comunidad que compartimos.
Next, to ensure everyone's comfort and full participation, you can see that our emergency exits are located one to the side, 2 of them. We've also got exits in the back behind that main door. Restrooms can be found through those main doors and down the hall or directly outside, and they are shared with the larger community members. And of course, staff are welcome to move around as needed as much as they need to throughout the event. If you have any additional accommodation requests, please find one of the Whatcom Center for Early Learning staff or Sara and myself, and we'll help get that taken care of.
Para garantizar la comodidad y plena participación de todos, las salidas de emergencia se encuentran en las puertas donde las pueden ver ustedes. Los servicios higiénicos se encuentran afuera de este establecimiento. El personal puede desplazarse según sus necesidades a lo largo del evento. Si necesita algún tipo de adaptación especial, por favor, comuníquese con nosotros.
And we appreciate your presence, energy, and intention as we engage in this important work together today. In the spirit of Billy Frank Jr. of the Nisqually tribe, let us remember that our well-being is intimately connected to the health of our environment. The sun, stars, water, tides, floods, and wildlife are not just elements of nature, but indicators of our collective health. As we proceed, let's carry this wisdom with us, recognizing our responsibility to care for the land and for each other.
Agradecemos su presencia, su energía y sus intenciones mientras realizamos juntos esta labor. En el marco del espíritu de Billy Frank Jr. de la tribu Nisqually, recordemos que nuestro bienestar está profundamente ligado a la salud de nuestro medio ambiente. El sol, las estrellas, el agua, las mareas, las corrientes de agua y la vida salvaje no solo son elementos de la naturaleza, sino también indicadores de nuestra salud colectiva. A medida que avanzamos, llevemos esta sabiduría con nosotros, reconociendo nuestra responsabilidad de cuidar a la tierra y a los demás.
One more. And finally, we want to share as a call to action a few events that are happening at our local tribes in the near future. The 21st Annual Wellbriety Powwow, April 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2025, over at the, sorry, I'm not seeing where that one's located. The Nisqually. Thank you, at the Nisqually Community Center. And then the Spring Craft Fair on Saturday, April 12th from 10 to 3 with free entry at the Nooksack Tribe. And then the Nooksack Tribal Resource Fair on March 15th. So please feel free to come and support our local tribes by joining in on some of these great family activities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And then did you want me to do the comedy or the next one that Sara had? Yep, so real quick, I already mentioned that some of the specific accommodations. If you need anything, please feel free to ask some of our Whatcom Center for Early Learning staff or myself and Sara from the Opportunity Council. And we wanted to just take a moment to chat about our community agreements. So first, we want to create space for multiple truths and norms. We want you to be able to speak your truth and seek understanding of the truths that differ from yours with an awareness to power dynamics. So when we're working with our boss and employee, a person with a marginalized identity versus a person who's of the dominant culture, please keep those power dynamics in mind as you're communicating and make sure that there's space for all of the voices that need to be heard. Throw out the word expert. There is always something to learn. Think to yourself, wait, why am I talking and why aren't I listening? Or why aren't I talking? Sorry. Allow space for silence because silence can hold a lot of energy. I know as a white woman, one of my major areas of growth is that I need to sit in that silence for a moment to allow folks to speak that may have a harder time or need a longer processing period. So that's a growth area for me. Challenge yourself to stay present. It's so easy to pick up the phone. It's so easy to check the email really quick, but take a moment to be here with us in this space and be present. Release yourself from perfection. Perfection is the enemy of good. Take space and make space. Grace for ourselves and for others. We're all in different spaces in our learning journey, so we can have grace for ourselves in that process and then share that same grace for others. Mistakes and ruptures are going to happen, so we must commit to repair. And then finally, assume good intentions, but deal with the impact. So no matter how good your intentions may have been, there's going to be an impact. And if we can honor that and we can rupture, or we can commit to repairing those ruptures, we can proceed in community.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
What's that? Oh, yeah. All right, we're gonna get back to it. We'll just start by welcoming you all and thanking you so much for making time to be here with us today. We're very grateful. Whatcom Center staff, put your hands up, please. There you go. So those are the people that you can call out to if you need something, because I know Amy mentioned them, but I thought it would be good for you to know who they might be. All right, I'm going to hand off to Andreas.
Okay. Hi everybody, buenas tardes, mi gente. Mi nombre es Andrés Sierra Delgado. My name is Andrés Sierra Delgado. I'm with the Whatcom Center for Early Learning. I'm the language access specialist and interpreter. Started with the agency back in 2023 in August and started as a office administrator with them. I'm from Medellin, Colombia, born and raised. Came to the United States when I was 16 and became very passionate about culture and language justice and all this industry because also of what I have to experience coming up to this country on a very young age. Living, my culture, family. So there were struggles at the time, and that gave me a lot of passion to work in this field and to help, the communities and to help our communities. And then I started the journey with Whatcom Center for Early Learning with the language access role back of last year in 2024. I'm also in the medical interpretation training and getting all the things about my certifications, and I'm currently working with the agency. We work with over 27 families with different backgrounds and cultures. We also have different indigenous languages that are emerging as we speak, and we're going to talk about a little bit more in that in the presentation. I'm very happy to see a lot of people I talk through emails a lot of times and just connect with agencies, school districts, and so many of you. It's great to put everybody together for this cause, and I'm very grateful to be here and to have everybody here. Thank you.
Thanks, Andreas. My name is Sara James. I am the Executive Director at Whatcom Center for Early Learning, and I have been in this role for about 5 years. We work with babies and toddlers with disabilities and developmental delays and their families. And my background is 20 years of experience running different nonprofits, and kind of ended up over in Southeast Asia at a little country called East Timor, and ended up staying there for 15 years. Little tiny island that's like 6,000 square miles, 1.4 million people, and 16 indigenous languages. And most people speak about 5 languages that are more educated and live in the capital, their local dialect, the prominent dialect that I speak, which is Tetun, Portuguese, which was the colonizing country, as well as Indonesian, which was a violent occupier for 24 years, as well as English. So they are very competent, many of them, in all those languages. And one of the things that I learned while I was living there was just how important language justice is. My husband ended up in the hospital, and the doctors and the nurses did not speak the same languages. And we were in a situation where then I had to interpret for him, and it was really scary. He almost died in that hospital. And it really woke me up to wow, we really need to do better. And then in this role at Whatcom Center, really wanting to try to uplift our own language access work. And Andreas has been a great partner in that. Before Andreas, we were working with Elizabeth Gonzalez Soto, who was also very amazing in kind of promoting this work and making this project come to fruition today. So just a lot of gratitude for the people who have done all the work to get us to where we're at. And next slide, please.
Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about the agenda. So we are at 12, we're running a couple of minutes behind. So 12:40, around this time, we're going to start talking about what we left out, framing agenda, recap for previous convening. This is going to be presented by Sara James and myself, Andres Sierra. Around 1 p.m. or a couple of minutes after that, we are going to have the Washington State Coalition of Language Access, WASCLA, a presentation with Joanna Ramos, and also for health, and also Lichi is going to be presenting as well. At 1:30 p.m., we're going to have the Western Washington University also presenting. There's going to be an overview. They're going to talk about the surveys and workforce development. The presenters are going to be Kirsten Dricky, Andrew Blick, and Kirsten Deham. Sorry, I'm so bad with names and last names. So around 1:50, we are going to have James Dino Christensen Jr. He is a deaf language justice advocate. And around 2:10 p.m., we are going to have a break. And 2:30, augmentative and alternative communication devices is going to be presented by Tasha Farabi, which is part of Whatcom Center for Early Learning. Around 2:50 p.m., we have the language of lesser diffusion advocate. We're going to have Marta Dominguez, Marta Mendoza, and the CIMAR promotores are going to be presenting. 3:10, introduction, we're going to introduce the scholarship recipients. I would be doing that myself. Around 3:20, we're going to do exploring participant priorities around language justice using open space, which is going to be the activity that we are going to have, one of them. 4:20, the closing and the survey, and from 30 to 5, we're going to have the networking time.
We just had one last minute change, which is that unfortunately Martha Dominguez, I think, can't make it. So it's just going to be Martha Mendoza and Betsy. Sorry, Betsy, what's your last name? Camacho? Okay, well, yeah, so that's just one little change. And then the small group part, that is the open space part. So that's at 3:20. And you can see the topics on the wall there. So when we do have our break, you can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is how they're labeled. And you can choose what table that you want to go to based on the topics. But we'll all get up and move around at that point anyway. So no worries if you're at a different table than the one that you're leading a discussion at. All right. We wanted to just talk a little bit about a little recap of last time, because I know everyone who's here this time couldn't be here last time. And we also had some learning since then, of course. It's been a while. It was in November, for those of you who couldn't make it. We talked about the fact that there's 300 to 450 languages spoken across our amazing nation, and about half of those languages are indigenous languages, and roughly 20 million Americans require interpretation. We dove into that deeply. We talked a lot about pathways to help languages of lesser diffusion hopefully get to a place where our state will open up some pathways so they can actually get certified. We'll be talking about a response from DSHS in a minute. But we realized that when we were thinking about this, that we left some things out. And we hadn't talked a lot about ASL last time. And we were like, wow, that was a bit of a mistake. That's a language justice priority. ASL also, we're lacking interpreters in our community. So we wanted to bring that up at this one. So we were really lucky to get Dino, who was willing to speak, and that helped us kind of shape the agenda for this convening, like what did we miss? And another one that is really exciting is augmentative and alternative communication devices. I know that's a handful. I was very unaware of it, but when I started poking around, thanks to some questions from Rhiannon, I found out that one of our own staff at Whatcom Center is actually kind of an expert and forerunner in this field. So it was super excited to have Tasha Fairby with us here today to talk about that. So we really try to look at like, where do we make mistakes and how can we do repairs? So this is an example of us kind of trying to figure out what did we leave out, and how can we make up for that going forward. This is a list of many indigenous languages here, which we just kind of thought was a cool thing to share. All right, back to you.
Okay. All right, so there is no justice without language justice. So language access needs of referrals from 0 to 3 years old service have been doubled in the past 3 years. Children and families that speak languages of lesser diffusion like Mixteco are not being equitably served. There are not enough certified interpreters for ASL and language of lesser diffusions, and lacking of clear pathways to certification, which is something I'm experiencing myself as well. Many agencies do not have language access plans to ensure language access across all aspects of their agencies. Thanks to Mom Baker Foundation project, supporting and partners with Whatcom Center for Early Learning, the Opportunity Council, the Whatcom County Health and Community Services, and the North Sound League for organizing this event. So thank you very much. We also would like to say thank you, and this event is sponsored by the Whatcom County Health and Community Services, from WICU, from Berzenji Productions and Media, Other Side Bagels, and Amy Day Tamales. So thank you so much, and welcome.
Amy Day is with North Sound LEAP, and she has helped on her own accord throughout this whole organizing process. So just huge shout out. Thank you, Amy. She brings so much expertise to the table and has allowed us to make a lot of progress going forward. We've worked really closely with the Opportunity Council and with Catherine DeFilippo from the Health Department, Whatcom County Health and Community Services. And then our main donor for our project is the Mount Baker Foundation. And I know a lot of the board members and staff are here today. So just huge thank you to all of you. And a huge thank you to all the Whatcom Center staff. I know a lot of us are getting paid out of that project, and we drew in a lot of work to make these things happen. So there's about 7 or 8 people here today, and our board member, Gabriela Montenegro, as well. So just a huge thank you for all of the work that you've done to put this together. Our last convening, we had some great takeaways. I just wanted to draw attention because I know we get 1 million emails a day, feels like anyway. And you may not have noticed that we put all the resources from the last convening up on this website on Whatcom Center's Language Justice site. So you can find all the presentations. So if you weren't here, there's some really amazing resources available. We had a great presentation from the Collective Interpreters of Oregon. North Sound Leap gave a great presentation about how to create a language access plan. There's also other links about creating a language access plan there. So this is just like a wealth of information, and this will be updated with the films and all of the information today. We ran out of space weeks ago. We were able to get some people in when people canceled, but we just wanted to make sure that this important information that people will be sharing today is able to be shared as widely as possible. So we were really lucky to get the services of this filmmaking company at a very bargain rate. So we're very appreciative of Cole. And how do you say his last name again?
Berzenji.
Berzenji, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. So those will all be on this site after this week when we're able to get all the presentations from this time up. So Wasclaw's up there. Wasclaw's doing great work, which we'll hear about very shortly from Joanna. We'll get information about Chela up there too, so people can connect with a lot of the advocacy work going on at the state level. We think that's just so important. I know last time people said, hey, we need a database to find interpreters, and we realized very shortly thereafter that DSHS has a database. Not everyone's in there. You're only in there if you're certified, and you can search by county. I'm gonna just go to the next slide. And so most of us who were here last time wrote a joint letter to DSHS. We honed it in the convening, did some edits, and then folks signed off on it afterwards. That got sent. DSHS called me. They gave some very confusing and not that satisfying responses, but they did get back. They said that they had about 8 different people get in touch with them and bug them because of this letter, because we didn't just send it to them, we sent it to all the government officials as well. So they clearly heard us. What they're doing about it, we're wait to be seen, I guess. What they did tell us, because this was all about the pathways and the lack of pathways for languages of lesser diffusion and certification. So what they told us was, you don't always need a medical interpreter. Sometimes you can use a social services interpreter. When I asked how we know when, they said, well, it's up to your own policies and the legal frameworks when you can do each. And I was like, okay. So that is up to each of us in our own agencies to create policies around. So hopefully we can hear from some others today about some ideas on how to do that well. Another piece was that they acknowledged that there is one, and I think he's here today, James Nathan, interpreter that's in their system for both Skagit and Whatcom County that is medically certified in Mixteco. And they acknowledged that that wasn't enough and that they would help us do better, but we have not heard back from them again on how we actually will get that help for our community. We have had a team of people, including Andreas and some others, that we've been trying to do the social services certification. It took over a month for Andreas to get approved in their system, and now there's absolutely no place that he can register. All the slots are full for the next 2 months. We asked them, hey, well, what's up with that? And how do we make this actually happen? And no response. And he would need to go twice. To Yakima or Olympia. And so would all the other 5 or 6 people that we're trying to help get certified. So, and that's just social services certification, where there should and can be pathways for some of the languages of lesser diffusion. What we found out was, yes, Mixteco's on the list, which is great, but Akwakateco, which is one of the other languages we've given a scholarship out to recently, isn't on the list. So even with that language, it's not possible. Mam is another one that wasn't there that we were hoping might be there.
Chichalteco.
Oh, I'll let you.
Yeah, so as Sara was explaining, the whole process for certification, it's very confusing, and she only received a phone call from DSHS, which is very basic information about how it's up to the agencies, if they would just want to proceed by doing a social certification, which according to them is easier than a medical certification. As we all know, for medical certification, you have to have 40 credit hours, which you go through any accredited institution. Once you get those 40 credit hours, you also have to prove proficiency on the language, and then you submit that paperwork with some of the third-party agencies. In this case, they have NBCMI and HHI, I think is the, yes, thank you. And then they will review the paperwork, and then you go through them to schedule the testing for medical interpretation. So it's very confusing, and also the fees, not to mention how much fees are involved to get this medical certifications. And what we found in also, and in my own personal experience, I went through the NBCMI testing, and it is divided by like the core of ethics. We have the medical terminology portion, but a lot of the medical terminology portion of the written part, it was more like a diagnostic type of questioning versus what information that you will get when you doing the course, which is strictly in translation and interpretation. So there is a lot of changes and a lot of things that are very different from the type of training that we get in these institutions versus what the testing that is actually happening with these third-party companies that DSHS has running this test. So they said that we can go ahead and proceed with social certification, and also for any languages of lesser diffusion or some indigenous languages. But in order for you to do that, you have to go through the Washington DSHS. There is a portal, and then you have to register. When you register, you create a profile, and you go through just some things on the website. Once you create that, you click on a button for you to request for you to get your test for the social certification. I just trying to see how that works after we got the DSHS information. I signed up with them in December, and I just got the approval like 3 weeks ago for me to schedule, which is directly with DSHS. Once you click on schedule, it gives you the calendars, but all the calendars for the next 3 months, apparently they are booked. And when you select any language, they all show booked, so there are no spots available. So we also send out an email with the contact people that we have, questioning if that's really accurate or what's going on. And then another thing that is challenging is because you have to go to three places, Yakima and Olympia and that was okay, I think, yes. And then you cannot do like schedule according to their directions. Like if you wanted to do the written portion and the order the same day, you have to do like 1 day for each. So for people that is trying to pursue this, and you like here in Bellingham, and then you have to drive all the way down there, it's a little bit of inconvenience. So we're still trying to get information. We are having a lot of conversations with local agencies, and also with the help with the North Sound and all their interpreters, and getting together to really see what's going on and how we can address these things. So that's a little bit of what's going on.
Thank you for a thorough update. So if anyone's interested in this, Andreas is a great person to be back in touch with in the future, because we should be getting more information back from DSHS. We're a little bit behind, so we're going to combine a couple of our slides. This one was the one that was up during lunch to encourage you to talk about what you may have done since the last convening. Some of the things that people had ideas on were to share I Speak cards, to learn 5 new things about 10 languages spoken in Whatcom County and the communities who speak them, connect to people and help connect the dots and build the movement, and to utilize your networking power to educate on this dire problem and assist with warm handoffs. I would love to hear from all of you. I know we don't have time to hear from everyone, but if each table can have a couple of takeaways, and then we're just going to jump to the next slide. So what have you all been doing on language access is what that slide was asking. And this one is like, have you pursued having a language access coordinator in your agency? Have you pursued developing a language access plan? So you'll have about 2 minutes to chat at your tables, and then we'll ask you to share out if there's any takeaways from your group. Sorry, such a short time. We're just a little behind.